Okay, so I'm just going to share with you a little bit about a process that's been happening for me, and then I'm going to talk to Harriet because I was guided to connect with her for some assistance. So I've been having some issues with the skin in my ears for about 20 years. And I've tried homeopathy, I've tried cutting things out of my diet, I've tried all sorts of lotions and potions, and I've had um, chips removed, I've had, all sorts of healings done on and around my ears to try to get to the bottom of this. Occasionally, I'll have a spell where there's no irritation, but it's certainly been ramping up for a while now. And so this morning during my meditation, I'll just read what I was given. Because I think it might help others if they've got any different sorts of symptoms that they are experiencing as well. So, I was told to ask Harriet to put me in a light chamber to restore and heal my skin on my ears and on my head, as it's been burned due to the high frequencies that I'm receiving from beyond the beyond, and that the atmosphere here doesn't currently enable me to hold that frequency. But Harriet will know how to find the resonance for both the atmosphere here and the frequencies that are coming in into my auditory sense that currently are out of my field of perception, except in the form of irritation and itching. So when I shared this with Harriet, she said straight away that absolutely it makes sense to her. And Harriet, I'm going to hand over to you because, yeah, you can obviously respond to what I've just said and how I contacted you earlier.
Yeah, so I was really grateful that you'd contacted me this morning, Nicola, because after our adventure in the Peak District last week, and all week, the frequencies that have been coming in, I've had a red, puffy face, my eyes have been swollen, my face has been so red, and even my cheeks have been burnt. And yeah, so it was nice confirmation that you were experiencing a similar thing, and you tuned into the fact that it was the frequencies
Mm.
as to why this was happening, because I couldn't make any sense of why I was being sunburnt with not
Yeah,
particularly having much sun this week, like,
yes, yeah.
so I did an upper world journey for us, and Pegasus took us to the upper world. And on arriving there, we came into a crystal temple that was a beautiful pastel colours, pale blues and pinks. And we were taken by Pegasus into this crystal temple. And there were rose quartz beds that we were told to lie on, and they were surrounded by these beautiful pale blue aquamarine crystals and pink quartz crystals, and we were placed in these healing chambers. And then a reptilian, like a crocodile, sort of giant crocodile reptilian being appeared, but he had multicolored skin, and first of all you go, oh, freak out, it's a reptilian, no, no, they're here to do something awful to me. But this was a nice reptilian, and I discerned that. And he gave us the information that when we travel to the galactic spaces, in when we're going to these sacred sites,
Yeah.
that we need to put on our silver spacesuits, and we need to zip them up tight, and they've got a hood on them, and then they've got a plasma visor that will protect our face. And I recall being given this spaceship many years, not a spaceship, I do apologize, being given these spacesuits, been given these space suits a long time ago, and then forgetting about using them when
Yeah.
protecting myself and when going on travels. So yeah, that was interesting. And then and then I asked the reptilian when the healing was done, and he advised us when it was time to leave.
Wow, that's amazing. So in terms of I mean, there's so many things in what you've just shared there. People will go, crystal what? What what frequencies, what colours? But yeah, I guess it isn't these aren't unfamiliar conversations for Harriet and I. And whilst it might be your first time and hearing some of these things, ultimately, we are made up of energy, as is everything. And therefore, the way to influence our energy field is through frequency. And crystals, and the intergalactics are able to adjust and influence our frequencies in a healing capacity, the healing temple that we were taken to for sure. And the crystals that we were lying on would be of different frequencies, the different colours. Harriet, if I'm jump in if I'm saying anything that's not sort of
No, absolutely correct,
right.
Nicola.
Yeah. And the reptilian, I'm really glad that it's interesting that came up because I think there's misinformation, isn't there, out there about beings out there in the intergalactics because some of you may or may not have seen Star Wars, for example, and there's that early on in one of the films where they go into this bar and there's all those beings of different shapes, looking different, different races, and while some of them were really unusual and startling and sort of frightening on some levels, I think ultimately, like Harriet mentioned before, it's about discerning and feeling into your heart about what the frequency of a being is. Because beings in interdimensional terms can present themselves in any form because they can shapeshift. That's right, isn't it, Harriet?
That's right, yeah.
So what is our responsibility is to tune in from a heart level perspective to say, is this frequency of light and is this being here to support and aid us at this time? And obviously in this instance, the reptilian being was there to help Harriet and I to find out more about, what's been going on on our skin whilst we've been doing the intergalactic and the interdimensional travel. Um, but it may not have been a being of light. So Harriet would have, I imagine, done something different at that point and stopped the healing. But that's going off track a little bit. But I think there's so much in what you shared, Harriet, that I just wanted to sort of elaborate on a few points. So in
Yes.
terms of the frequencies then, that because mostly my irritation happens at night, are you suggesting or are they suggesting that I wear a spacesuit at night
I would put it on
before I
before
go
you
to
go to
bed?
bed. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So that's not a real spacesuit, of course, but it's an intention for me to step into, imagine that I'm stepping into a spacesuit, zipping it up the front, bringing down the visor of plasma and having the helmet on, as you would see a space person going out into a rocket and into space. Because it's about, as I said to Harriet in the show, it's about the atmosphere of Mother Earth is different to atmospheres in other planetary systems. And they might be subtle, but nevertheless, it's about what my human body can tolerate in those sort of travelings and shiftings of between dimensions. Would that be a good
Great analogy
accurate?
there,
Yeah,
Nicola.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say on that, Harriet?
Oh, that's it, I think.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So again, thank you, Harriet, for doing that for me this morning. And
Oh,
I'd
you're
be
so welcome.
interested to observe now what happens over the coming days with my ears. hoping that I'm trusting that we will get, a repair and that the skin will be rejuvenated and that we've now found a way to, obviously we've got the spacesuit, so it's my responsibility to put my spacesuit on every night because evidently at night I'm off out of my body doing a lot of my intergalactic travel that, if I'm honest, isn't conscious to me. It's I'm in my this human sleep state and I'm not aware of what I'm doing when I close my eyes because I go out like a light and I I come back in the morning thinking I've had a great sleep, but ultimately I've not. I've been off doing many, many things. So I think that's again just another snapshot into um, our capabilities and the other things that we're doing with our time when we think we're resting. Is there anything else, Harriet, before I pause the video here?
I think
Recording.
that's it for today. Thank you
Okay.
so much,
Thank
Nicola.
you. Thanks, Harriet.